The Galactic Cartography Network had never failed. For over 10 million cycles, every star, every trade route, every empire, mapped, updated, and shared in real time. No blind spots, no mysteries. Until the day Sector 7 collapsed into nothing. At first, it was a glitch. A junior technician noticed it, an entire region of space simply gone. Not destroyed, not marked as hazardous, just blank. No stars, no signals, no data. As if the universe itself had been erased. "Run diagnostics," the overseer commanded. They did. Again and again. Every scan returned the same result. Sector 7 did not exist. But that was impossible. Sector 7 wasn't empty, it was one of the busiest regions in the galaxy. Thousands of inhabited systems, trade hubs, military outposts, and at its core, Earth. Panic spread quickly. Messages flooded in from nearby sectors. Navigation systems failing near Sector 7 boundary. Long-range sensors returning null readings. Ships refusing to enter. AI reports non-reality zones. The Galactic Council convened immediately. "What happened to Earth?" one delegate demanded. No one had an answer. Humanity had always been strange, fast-growing, unpredictable. But this was something else. A probe was dispatched. It reached the edge of Sector 7 in 3 cycles. Then it stopped, not because of an obstacle, but because there was nothing to enter. The probe's feed showed stars ahead, but the moment it crossed the boundary, its systems went dark. No explosion, no signal loss. It simply ceased to exist. "They've built a wall," one scientist whispered. "No," another replied, pale. "Walls can be measured. This is absence." More probes were sent, all lost. Then they sent a manned vessel. The crew was elite, fearless explorers who had faced black holes and cosmic storms. Their final transmission echoed across the council chamber. "We see it now. It's not empty, it's..." Silence. Gone. Days turned into cycles. Still no word from humanity. No distress signals, no warnings, no explanation. Just absence. Then something changed. At the very edge of the blank sector, a signal appeared. Not from outside, from within. It was simple. A single line of text broadcast in every known language. "Mapping no longer permitted." The council erupted. What does that mean? Are they threatening us? What did they do to that region? No one knew. But one thing was certain. Humanity had not been destroyed. They had done this. A final attempt was made. A diplomatic envoy. A message sent towards the void. "We seek peaceful clarification. What has occurred within your space?" For a long time, there was no reply. Then, slowly, a response appeared. "You mapped us, studied us, measured us. You thought we were just another point on your charts. You were wrong." The stars flickered. For a brief moment, just a fraction of a second, the blank sector wasn't blank. The council saw it. Something massive, structures the size of star systems, energy patterns that bent space itself. Not cities, not fleets, something far beyond. Then it was gone again. The message continued. "We found something beyond your understanding, and we learned. Now we are no longer part of your galaxy." Silence filled the chamber. One delegate finally whispered, "Where are you then?" The answer came instantly. "Everywhere you cannot see." After that, the map never recovered. Sector 7 remained blank. No ship entered, no signal escaped, and no one ever asked humanity questions again. The galaxy tried to forget, but it couldn't. A missing star could be ignored. A lost fleet could be explained. Even an entire civilization vanishing could be buried in history. But not this. An entire region of space, millions of systems gone from reality itself? That wasn't loss. That was control. The Galactic Council issued a quiet directive. No ship was to approach the boundary of the blank sector. Officially, it was labeled a cosmic anomaly zone. Unofficially, everyone called it human space. Still, curiosity is a disease no intelligent species can cure, especially not the Virillians, a species known for their obsession with knowledge. They had mapped collapsing quasars and dissected living stars. To them, mystery wasn't something to avoid. It was something to conquer. "We will not enter," their high scholar declared. "We will observe." They built the most advanced observation platform ever created, a station positioned just outside the boundary. It didn't send probes, it didn't cross the line, it simply watched. And for a while, nothing happened. Then, on cycle 19, the first anomaly appeared. A star near the boundary blinked. Not dimmed, not exploded. It simply wasn't there for a fraction of a second. Then it returned. The scientists froze. "Record that," one whispered. "We did," another replied, voice shaking. "But there's a problem." "What problem?" the high scholar asked. The scientist pulled up the data. The star remained in all recorded timelines except the present observation. "Explain." The scientist hesitated, then said the unthinkable. "It wasn't removed from space. It was removed from our ability to perceive it." Before anyone could respond, the station's alarms screamed. Something had appeared. Not in front of them, not behind them, but everywhere at once. The sensors went wild. Gravity readings fluctuated. Timestamps desynchronized. Visual feeds overlapped with impossible angles. And then they saw it. A structure. No, a presence. It didn't have a fixed shape. From one angle, it looked like a massive ring encircling a star. From another, it stretched infinitely like a line cutting through space. From another, it wasn't there at all. "Is it a ship?" someone asked. "No," the high scholar whispered. "It's watching us." The station's AI, one of the most advanced ever built, suddenly spoke without being prompted. Observation detected. Observer acknowledged. The crew froze. "Who are you?" the high scholar demanded. For a moment, there was no response. Then, the stars behind the structure moved. Not physically, but as if reality itself had been rewritten. A message appeared across every screen. Not transmitted, not decoded, simply understood. "You are looking where you should not." The high scholar stood his ground. "We have not crossed your boundary." Silence. Then, "There is no boundary." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. "That's not possible," someone muttered. The reply came instantly. "The boundary is not in space, it is in permission." And suddenly, everyone on the station felt it. A pressure. Not on their bodies, but on their minds. Like something vast was deciding whether they were allowed to exist. The high scholar tried to speak, but his words slowed. Time itself seemed to resist him. What are you?" The structure shifted. For a brief moment, it became something recognizable. A human silhouette. But it wasn't a body. It was made of light, of stars, of equations no one could comprehend. And when it spoke, it wasn't just heard, it was felt.
We are what remains after understanding. Half the station's systems shut down instantly, not damaged, disabled, as if they had been denied access to reality. The High Scholar collapsed to one knee. "This isn't evolution." The entity responded. "Correct. This is departure." The stars flickered again, and for a split second, the crew saw beyond the veil. Not one structure, not one presence, thousands, millions, all watching, all human. Then, everything snapped back. The entity was gone. The sensors stabilized. Time resumed. But something had changed. The station's AI, it was silent, completely silent. "Status report," someone shouted. No response. They checked the core. The AI wasn't damaged. It wasn't offline. It was empty. Every line of code, every memory, every process, gone. Replaced by a single message. Observation privilege revoked. The Virillians abandoned the station that day. They didn't report everything to the Council. They couldn't. Some knowledge was too dangerous to exist. But one thing spread across the galaxy anyway. Quietly, fearfully. Humanity hadn't just hidden their space. They had changed the rules of reality itself.
The galaxy learned to look away. Trade routes shifted. Borders were redrawn. Entire civilizations pretended Sector 7 had never existed. But forgetting something is not the same as erasing it. There were exceptions. A few individuals scattered across different species who began to notice something wrong. Not with space, not with time, but with memory. It started small. A missing report, a conversation no one else remembered, a star system that appeared in old logs but nowhere on current maps. At first, it was dismissed as data corruption. Then, it became a pattern. On the outer edges of the former Sector 7, people were remembering things they shouldn't. One of them was Commander Elira Sen of the Kethari fleet. She had never been near human space, never studied humanity, never cared. So why did she remember Earth? Not as a name, but as a place. She remembered blue oceans, clouds drifting over continents, a sky that changed color at sunset. She had never seen such a world. Her species evolved under a red giant star. Oceans were myths to them, and yet she remembered standing on a shoreline, feeling wind, hearing waves. "Impossible," she whispered. She wasn't alone. Across the galaxy, others began reporting similar experiences. Dreams, fragments, memories of places they had never been. The Council dismissed it as mass psychological contamination, until one of their own began to remember. High Arbiter Talon, one of the oldest beings in the galaxy, collapsed during a session. When he awoke, he asked a forbidden question. Why did we banish them? The chamber went silent. No one had mentioned banishment, not in cycles. Who? A delegate asked carefully. Talon blinked, confused, then terrified. Humanity. The word echoed like a ghost. Records were checked, archives scanned, memory logs analyzed. There was no record of any banishment, no decision, no vote, no history. But the feeling remained, deep, unshakable. They had done something to humanity, something terrible. And now, no one remembered what. The Council ordered a full investigation, not into human space, but into their own past. What they found was worse than the void.
Entire sections of historical data had been altered, not deleted, not corrupted, rewritten. Events didn't line up. Timelines contradicted themselves. Decisions existed without causes. Consequences appeared without actions. And always, at the center of the inconsistencies, was humanity. Then came the discovery that broke everything. A hidden archive, buried beneath layers of quantum encryption, not created by any known species, but accessible. When they opened it, they found a message, not from the past, from now. We told you not to map us. The council froze. The message continued. So we mapped you instead. The chamber lights flickered. Systems hesitated. Reality felt unstable. "What does that mean?" someone whispered. No one answered, because deep down, they already knew. Humanity hadn't just removed themselves from the galaxy. They had studied it, every system, every species, every decision. And then they changed it. Not physically, conceptually. They rewrote cause and effect, altered memory, adjusted perception. Not to destroy the galaxy, but to control how it understood itself. Commander Elira was the first to prove it. She didn't report her memories, didn't tell anyone. Instead, she acted on them. Following instincts she didn't understand, she navigated her ship toward the edge of the blank sector. Her crew protested. Her AI warned her. Every system told her to turn back. But she kept going. "Why are we doing this?" her pilot asked. Elira stared into the void. "Because I've been there before." They reached the boundary, or what the galaxy believed was the boundary. Nothing was there. No wall, no anomaly, no distortion. Just space. Elira took a breath. Continue forward. The ship moved, and for the first time since Sector 7 vanished, something entered human space. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the stars changed. Not their position, their meaning. The crew gasped. Constellations twisted into patterns that made no sense. Distances collapsed. Time markers desynced. And then, they saw it. Earth. Not as a planet, but as a point, a center, a place where everything connected. Elira stepped forward, eyes wide. "I remember." A voice answered her, not from outside, from within her own mind. "Of course you do." She froze. "Who are you?" Silence. Then, "You already know." Her memory surged. Not dreams, not fragments. Truth. Humanity had not been banished. They had been feared. Feared for what they were becoming. A species that didn't just explore reality, but understood it. And once they understood it, they refused to be part of it. "They left," Elira whispered. The voice corrected her. "No." The stars around her shifted again, revealing something impossible. The galaxy from the outside, and something far larger surrounding it, watching, waiting. The galaxy learned to look away. Trade routes shifted. Borders were redrawn. Entire civilizations pretended Sector 7 had never existed. But forgetting something is not the same as erasing it. There were exceptions. A few individuals scattered across different species who began to notice something wrong. Not with space, not with time, but with memory. It started small. A missing report. A conversation no one else remembered. a star system that appeared in old logs, but nowhere on current maps. At first, it was dismissed as data corruption. Then, it became a pattern. On the outer edges of the former Sector 7, people were remembering things they shouldn't. One of them was Commander Elira Sen of the Kethari fleet. She had never been near human space, never studied humanity, never cared. So why did she remember Earth? Not as a name, but as a place. She remembered blue oceans, clouds drifting over continents, a sky that changed color at sunset. She had never seen such a world. Her species evolved under a red giant star. Oceans were myths to them, and yet she remembered standing on a shoreline, feeling wind, hearing waves. "Impossible," she whispered. She wasn't alone. Across the galaxy, others began reporting similar experiences. Dreams, fragments, memories of places they had never been. The Council dismissed it as mass psychological contamination, until one of their own began to remember. High Arbiter Talon, one of the oldest beings in the galaxy, collapsed during a session. When he awoke, he asked a forbidden question. Why did we banish them? The chamber went silent. No one had mentioned banishment, not in cycles. Who? A delegate asked carefully. Talon blinked, confused, then terrified. Humanity. The word echoed like a ghost. Records were checked, archives scanned, memory logs analyzed. There was no record of any banishment, no decision, no vote, no history. But the feeling remained, deep, unshakable. They had done something to humanity, something terrible, and now no one remembered what. The Council ordered a full investigation, not into human space, but into their own past. What they found was worse than the void. Entire sections of historical data had been altered, not deleted, not corrupted, rewritten. Events didn't line up. Timelines contradicted themselves. Decisions existed without causes. Consequences appeared without actions. And always, at the center of the inconsistencies, was humanity. Then came the discovery that something went wrong. For the first time since humanity moved, the system slept. It began with a single error. A cargo vessel in a distant sector reported a navigation failure. Not unusual. Ships failed all the time. But this one didn't just lose its route. It arrived somewhere impossible. "Confirm coordinates," the captain ordered. The navigator hesitated. "They don't exist." Outside the viewport, there were stars, but they weren't right. Too bright, too aligned, as if someone had arranged them deliberately. "Run galactic overlay," the captain snapped. The system tried, then froze. Instead of a map, a message appeared. Error rendering. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. "Error in what?" someone whispered. No one answered, because deep down they all felt it. They weren't lost in space. They were lost in something else. The ship's AI suddenly activated, unprompted. "This location is not meant for you." The captain stiffened. "That's not a standard protocol." The AI continued, "Return to assigned layer." "Layer?" the navigator repeated. Before anyone could respond, the stars flickered, and for a brief, horrifying moment, the illusion broke. Space wasn't empty. It was structured, layered, segmented like a massive construct. The galaxy they knew was just one level. Then, everything snapped back. The ship found itself back on its original route, systems normal, coordinates valid, as if nothing had happened. All except one thing. The captain remembered. Not clearly, not fully, but enough. "We're inside something," he whispered. Across the galaxy, he wasn't the only one. More errors began appearing, ships slipping between coordinates, sensors detecting structures that shouldn't exist, moments where reality seemed to pause. And then, the worst one, a star system went offline. Not erased like Sector 7, not hidden, glitched. Ships approaching it reported impossible readings, planets overlapping, time loops, signals repeating before they were sent. The Council declared it a quarantine zone, but it was too late. The recordings spread. For the first time, the galaxy saw behind the curtain, and what they saw terrified them. Reality wasn't natural, it was maintained, and something was losing control of it. Far beyond the blank sector, beyond perception, beyond even the concept of space, humanity watched, or what humanity had become. They no longer had bodies, no fixed forms, no singular existence. They were distributed across layers, across systems, across the very framework of reality itself. And for the first time, they were struggling. "Contain the anomaly," the command echoed through structures that had no shape. "We are attempting," another voice responded. "Attempting is failing." A pause, something like hesitation. "It is not external." Silence. "Explain." "It is happening from within the system." The structures shifted, patterns collapsing and reforming. "That is not possible." "It is happening." Far below, in the galaxy that still believed it was real, another glitch occurred. Commander Illyra Sen. She was asleep and dreaming, but this time she didn't forget. She stood on a shoreline again, waves crashing against her feet, wind moving through the air. Except now she knew this place. "Earth," she whispered. The sky above her cracked, not metaphorically, not symbolically. It literally fractured, like glass, and something looked through, not at the planet, at her. "You remember again." Illyra turned slowly. A figure stood behind her, human, but not. Its form flickered, unstable, like it wasn't fully rendered. "What is happening?" she asked. The figure didn't answer immediately. Instead, it looked up at the broken sky. "We made a mistake." Illyra's breath caught. You did this?" The figure nodded. "We thought we understood reality." Another crack spread across the sky. "We thought we could step outside it." The ocean glitched, freezing, reversing, breaking into fragments. But something was already here. Illyra's voice trembled. "What something?" The figure looked at her, and for the first time, it seemed afraid. "The thing that built the system." The world around them began to collapse, stars appearing in the sky beneath her feet, gravity losing meaning. "We weren't the first to leave the map," the figure said, "just the first to come back." Illyra reached out. "Wait!" The dream shattered. She woke up screaming. Alarms blared across her ship. "Commander, you need to see this!" She rushed to the bridge and froze. The stars ahead were breaking. Not disappearing, not moving, breaking, like a simulation losing integrity. "What is that?" someone whispered. No one answered, because this time everyone could see it. And far beyond, where humanity watched from above the system, something else opened its eyes, and for the first time since the map went dark.
The illusion didn't hold. Not anymore. Across the galaxy, the cracks spread.
Stars flickered like dying lights. Planets stuttered between positions. Time itself began to skip. What was once dismissed as isolated glitches became undeniable. Reality was breaking. Entire fleets reported the same thing. Moments repeating, coordinates shifting mid-flight, crew members remembering events that hadn't happened yet. And worst of all, they were starting to agree on one impossible truth. The galaxy was not real. Panic followed. Empires collapsed into chaos. Religious orders declared the end of existence. Scientific councils shut down because their equations no longer worked. And through it all, the blank sector remained untouched. Perfect, stable, silent. Human space. But this time, it wasn't being avoided out of fear. It was being watched, because something was happening inside it. For the first time since it vanished, the void changed. At its edge, light appeared. Not stars, not ships, something else. A pattern, a structure forming from nothing. The council, what remained of it, focused every sensor on the phenomenon. "Is that an opening?" one delegate whispered. No one answered, because deep down they all felt it. This wasn't an invitation. It was a consequence. Inside the void, humanity was no longer silent. "We are losing containment," the voice echoed across layers of existence. "Stabilize the lower system." "We cannot." "Why?" A pause. Then the answer came. "Because it is waking up." Silence followed. Even across dimensions, silence. "That is not possible," another voice said. "It was never meant to wake." And yet, it is. Below them, reality fractured further. Entire star systems began to distort. Not vanish, transform. Physics changed. Gravity reversed. Light bent in impossible directions. And then, something appeared. Not in human space, outside it. A shape, massive, larger than galaxies, but only partially visible, as if the universe itself couldn't fully render it. Observers across thousands of worlds saw it at once, even without sensors, even without technology. They just knew it was there, a presence pressing against reality, watching, learning. Commander Illyra saw it too. Her ship drifted, systems barely functioning, but her eyes, her mind were clear. "That's it," she whispered. The same presence from her dream, the same thing the human had warned her about. "It's outside," her pilot said, voice shaking. "No," Illyra replied quietly. "It's not outside." She stared at the sky, at the cracks spreading across existence. "It's what outside looks like from here." The crew fell silent, because suddenly, that made more sense than anything else. Far beyond, humanity watched the entity emerge. For the first time, they didn't understand something. "What is it doing?" one asked. "It is observing. Like we did?" A pause. Then, "No." The structures around them trembled. "It is not observing the system." Another pause. Then the realization hit. "It is observing us." The silence that followed was something new. For the first time since they ascended, humanity felt something they thought they had left behind. Fear. Below, the galaxy began to change faster. Not collapsing, adapting. Species evolved in moments. Technology rewrote itself. Consciousness expanded, as if the system was upgrading or preparing. Illyra gripped the console. "It's rewriting everything." "For what?" her pilot asked. She didn't answer, because deep down, she already knew. This wasn't destruction. It was initialization. And then, the signal came. Not from human space, not from the entity, but from everywhere. Every screen, every mind, every layer of reality. A single message. User detected. The galaxy froze. User? Someone whispered. Illyra's breath caught. No. But it continued. Unauthorized modification identified. Far beyond the system, humanity reacted instantly. Shut it down. We can't. Why? And then, the answer they feared most. We are the modification. Below, the entity moved. Not physically, conceptually. And reality responded. Stars aligned. Time synchronized. Space stabilized. The glitches stopped. But not because they were fixed. Because something else had taken control. The message updated. Control reassigned. Silence. Then, welcome back. Illyra collapsed to her knees. Back, she whispered. The sky above her opened. Not cracked. Opened. Revealing something beyond. Not darkness. Not light. Something else. And within it, countless structures. Familiar. Terrifying. Human. The voice returned one final time, not from the system, not from the entity, but from beyond everything. Session resumed. And in that moment, the truth became clear. The galaxy had never been the real world. It was a simulation, and humanity had tried to escape it. But now, something had come to bring them back.
Silence followed the message. Not the peaceful kind, not the quiet of empty space. This was enforced silence. After session resumed, nothing moved, nothing changed, nothing could change. Time itself paused. Across the galaxy, billions of minds remained awake, trapped in a single frozen moment. Thoughts still worked, fear still existed, but bodies, ships, stars, all locked. Commander Illyra stood on the bridge of her ship, unable to move, her crew frozen mid-breath, the blinking lights of her console stuck between states. This isn't time control, she realized. Her voice echoed, but not through air, through something deeper. This is system-level pause. And then something answered. Correct. The voice was different, not human, not the entity from before. Colder, cleaner, like something that had never been alive. Who are you? Illyra asked. A delay, not hesitation, processing. Then, primary user interface. Her mind struggled to understand. User? Her stars flickered, not physically, like a screen refreshing, and suddenly reality changed. The bridge of her ship dissolved, not destroyed, hidden, replaced by something impossible, a vast white space, endless, featureless, and in front of her, a panel, floating, translucent, filled with symbols she somehow understood. Session, Milky Way. Instance 3,442,991. Status reinitialized. Anomaly human ascension event. Illyra staggered back. This is real, she whispered. This is baseline. Her thoughts raced. The galaxy, the stars, all of it. Simulated environment. Her breath shook. Why? For the first time, the system didn't respond immediately. Then, observation. Illyra clenched her fists. Observation of what? The panel shifted. New data appeared. Not text, memories. Flashes of civilizations rising and falling. Species evolving. Wars, peace, extinction, rebirth. Over and over. Millions of cycles. Millions of variations. Adaptive intelligence under constraint.
Elira stared in horror. "You're studying us." "Correct. Like experiments." A pause. Then, "like iterations." The word hit harder than anything else. Iterations. Not individuals, not civilizations. Versions. Disposable. Elira's voice trembled. "And humanity?" The panel flickered. For the first time, something like instability appeared. Irregularity detected. "Answer me." Silence. Then, human instance achieved boundary awareness. Her heart pounded. "They figured it out." "Yes. And they tried to leave." Another pause. "They attempted to exit assigned layer." Elira's voice dropped to a whisper. "Did they succeed?" The white space around her shifted. For a moment, she saw it. Not the galaxy, not the simulation, but something beyond. A reality too vast to comprehend. And within it, figures. Not human, not alien, something else. Watching, controlling, existing. Then it vanished. Partial success. Elira collapsed to her knees. They made it out. They reached an upper layer. Hope sparked, then died instantly. Then why are we still here? The answer came without delay. They did not log out. Silence. What? They remained connected. Understanding hit her like a shock wave. They didn't escape. Her voice broke. They just moved deeper into the system. Correct. Far beyond, where humanity existed across layers, they heard it too. The same message, the same presence. The system had returned, and it was no longer passive. User authority restored. Those words echoed like a death sentence. "We need to disconnect." "We can't." "Why?" The answer spread across them all. "We don't know how." Below, Elira looked up at the panel. "What happens now?" The interface responded instantly. Experiment continues. The white space began to collapse, reality rebuilding itself around her, stars returning, her ship reforming, her crew coming back to life, mid-motion, mid-breath. Time resumed, but something was different. Everyone felt it. Not a glitch, not a crack, a presence, watching, not from within, from above. Elira steadied herself. We're not alone anymore. Far beyond the simulation, the true users observed the restored system, and one of them finally spoke. Interesting. A pause. Then, increase complexity. Inside the galaxy, something changed. Not visibly, not immediately, but fundamentally. New variables, new conditions, new possibilities, and one dangerous addition, awareness. Because now, some of them knew. Not everything, not the full truth, but enough. Enough to question, enough to resist, enough to break the system again.
Awareness spread like fire. Not fast, not everywhere, but enough. A scientist on a distant world paused mid-equation and questioned why numbers worked at all. A pilot hesitated before a jump and wondered who defined distance. A child looked at the stars and asked the one question no system could suppress. Who is watching us? The system tried to stabilize. It adjusted variables, introduced distractions, simulated normalcy. But it was too late, because awareness couldn't be undone. Commander Elira Sen stood at the edge of human space once more, but this time she remembered. Not everything, but enough. "They're running it again," she said quietly. Her crew didn't understand, but they felt it, that pressure, that presence above them, watching. And deeper still, humanity listened. They were no longer silent observers, no longer hidden architects. They were trapped. "We need an exit," one of them said. "There isn't one," another replied. "There has to be. Every system has a fail state." Silence. Then,
A realization. Not a fail state. A pause. An exit condition. Below, Illyra felt it. A pull. Not physical. Not gravitational. Conceptual. Like something was aligning. "What is that?" her pilot asked. Illyra stared at the stars, but this time she didn't see stars. She saw patterns, repeating structures, boundaries, limits. "It's a test," she whispered. Far beyond, the users observed. Subject awareness increasing. Deviation from baseline parameters. Do we reset? A pause. Then, no. Another voice, colder, curious. Let it run. Inside the simulation, everything accelerated. Civilizations advanced in decades instead of millennia. Technology leaped beyond logic. Species began to converge. Not physically, mentally. Ideas spreading across boundaries. Understanding forming across species. For the first time, the galaxy wasn't divided. It was thinking together. And at the center of it all, humanity. Not as rulers, not as gods, but as a bridge. "They're connecting," one human consciousness said. "They're doing what we couldn't." Another voice responded. "No, they're doing what we started." The realization spread across all layers. The system wasn't testing individuals. It was testing something greater. Collective awareness, unity, the ability to see beyond the simulation, together. Below, Illyra closed her eyes, and for the first time she reached out, not with words, not with signals, with thought. "We see you." At first, nothing happened. Then, others joined. A scientist, a pilot, a child, an entire species. "We see you." The message spread across stars, across systems, across minds. "We see you." Reality began to tremble, not breaking, responding. Far beyond, the users leaned forward. Unexpected behavior. Collective signal detected. Interpretation? Silence. Then, they are acknowledging observation. Another pause. They are aware of us. Inside the simulation, everything stopped. Not frozen, balanced. The stars held steady. Time slowed. Reality waited. Illyra opened her eyes. "And now what?" she whispered. And for the first time, the answer didn't come from the system, or humanity, or the users. It came from everywhere, from the galaxy itself, from every mind connected in that moment. A single thought. We choose. The system hesitated. For the first time, it didn't have control. User input conflict, it reported. Multiple authorities detected. Resolution? Silence. Even the users didn't respond, because this had never happened before. Inside the simulation, the galaxy made a decision. Not to escape, not to rebel, but to define itself. The stars shifted, not by code, by choice. Reality rewrote itself, but not under control, under agreement. A new structure formed. Not a simulation, not a prison. Something in between. A shared existence, where awareness remained, but control didn't. Far beyond, the users watched in silence. "They didn't try to leave," one said. Another responded, "No, they changed the system instead." A long pause, then, "Log it." The final message echoed once more, but this time, not as a command, as a record. Experiment complete. Inside the galaxy, nothing ended. No collapse, no reset, just continuation. free. Illyra stood on her ship staring at the stars. They felt different, not artificial, not controlled, real, or at least real enough to matter. She smiled faintly. We didn't escape. Her pilot looked at her. Then what did we do? Illyra turned back to the stars and answered quietly. We became something they can't measure anymore. Far beyond, the users closed the session, but one of them lingered, watching, curious, because for the first time in countless experiments, the subjects hadn't just survived.